Hi folks, and welcome to this first tutorial on general computing. We're going to start with a piece of software which I think is one of the most important pieces of software that anyone using computers should get to know. At least anyone using the Windows platform. And that is Windows Explorer. Not Internet Explorer, but Windows Explorer. The best way to get to Windows Explorer is to hold down the Windows key on your keyboard, which is usually found at the bottom left next to the Control key. Just hold the Windows key down and hit the E key once. And that brings up Windows Explorer. You can also get to it on Windows 7 if you click the Start button at the bottom left of your screen, and in the search field just type in Explorer and press the Return or the Enter key. I like to think of Windows Explorer as a map of the computer that you're currently using. So if you come to one of our meetings and use one of our computers, you will get a map in here of whatever computer that you're using. The layout of the computer at our meetings is probably going to, in fact it's definitely going to be different to the layout of the computer that you may have at home. On this computer I have one hard drive, which is the local disk C, but you may have one or more hard drives on your computer at home. But the point I'm trying to make is that it gives you a layout of the computer that you're currently on. These locations at the top left here, under Favorites, these locations are just shortcuts to places that you go to quite often. I'm sure you are familiar with the Downloads folder, where if you've downloaded anything from the internet, that is probably the place where whatever you've downloaded is going to end up. Not necessarily, because you can choose to download it to a different location if you've got your browser set up to do that. But most people usually download stuff from the internet to their downloads folder. Then you've got recent places, which self-explanatory really, it's places that you've recently visited on this computer. I've got a shortcut here still to the U3A Photoshop group. Haven't got round to changing the name yet. There's a shortcut to the desktop, and there's a shortcut to my websites folder. These are all this downloads, recent places, U3A, desktop and my websites. They're all underneath the favorites link. Because this little arrow here, at the moment, it's expanded. The favorites is expanded to show all those locations that are underneath. If I click there, it will contract. They're still there, they just folded up underneath. You click again and they will expand. These are shortcuts. These again are shortcuts. These are shortcuts to places again that you would use quite often, but they're also more laid out in a way like a library really, and this is why it's called libraries. You've got your documents, you've got your music, your pictures and your videos, but again they are shortcuts. And they're all under the libraries link. Again, you can contract that and you have more space to work with. But all these links under here and all these links under here, they are shortcuts. We won't go into the home group and we won't go into the network. That is a little bit more advanced. But again, we've got computer. Now this is where you can get to every location on your computer. All of these shortcuts, no matter where they are, you can get to under this computer location. These, as I say, are just shortcuts, quick ways to get to places that are on your computer. And so, if we navigate to a place that is on our computer, and on our computer at the moment, if I double click on this computer, you can see that on this computer I've got a hard drive which is inside the computer, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the DVD drives. That is the only two drives that I've got on this computer. But if I click there to expand the computer, local disk, that's the same place as that, but we can go underneath the local disk. We can go down to users. Again, these arrows expand and contract. This computer has been given the name Mike 3. Don't ask me why, it's just probably followed on from Mike 1 and Mike 2 that we named. But there it goes. The name of this computer is Mike 3. You will probably have your name round about here under the users folder. Under the users location, you will probably have your name. I can't say for definite because it depends how your computer was set up. If you bought it from somewhere like PC World, you know, you might have a user called admin or administration or something like that. But under the users folder, again, it's sort of explained. It explains itself by the name, really. Users. Yeah. Users. You've got My Documents, and you remember under the library link, Documents. My Documents. Same place. Same place as that. But instead of having to sort of dig down from computer to local disk to users to My Documents, this has been set up under the libraries folder as a shortcut. You've got your documents folders in there. And you've got your documents folders in there. Same ones. Same ones. As I say, this is just a shortcut. Now if you have a location under here, let's say for instance, what can we pick here? Say Saved Games, for instance. Now we've got it under Mike 3 and we've got all of these folders inside of Mike 3. But let's suppose we go to Saved Games quite often. What we could do is expand the Favourites folder and just drag this folder under here until we get that black bold line. Let go. Now we have got a shortcut to the Saved Games folder. You haven't moved this, it's still there. This is just a quick way of getting to it. So that if we close up these expanded locations, and if we go to say, we go away from here just so I can explain it, and go to the C drive. Now we want to get to Saved Games. Well, instead of digging down, we'll just And here we are, we're in the Save Games folder. It's just a quick way of getting there. If you get too many of these up here, it sort of defeats the object in a lot of ways. So if you want to remove any, just right click, remove, and it's gone. It's only the shortcut that's gone, that's all. The actual folder under users, Save Games is still there. You've still got the games. It's just a shortcut that you deleted. Okay, let's have a look around the interface of Windows Explorer. The first thing I want to say is that you may not have the menu showing. I don't know why, but it seems to be the default on Windows that they don't show this menu, and it's quite important. But if you don't have it showing, you can go to Organize, Layout, and as you can see, my menu bar is ticked, which means it's showing. If I untick that, then the menu's gone. But it's very important, I think, to have it showing. So we'll go back to Organize, Layout, and tick the menu bar so it's the menu bar is on view. There's also a difference in the layout in Windows 7 and Windows XP. The principle of this software is the same, but similar to a car, if you've got a different model of car, the instruments will be in different places depending on the model of car, but they're all designed to get you from A to B, and it's the same with this really. The principle is exactly the same, it's just that the layout might be different. But on Windows 7, this is the usual layout. So okay, we've seen the Organize menu, which gives you various options, and the menu bar's ticked. We'll go into the folder and search options a little bit later when we go on to learn about file types, but for the moment we will go into this one, which is System Properties. And if you remember, I said under the Users folder, the name of this computer was Mike Free PC. Not very original, but it serves its purpose. We can click to go back. You can uninstall or change a program from here. So we are now in the control panel uninstall menu. So all these programs have been installed on your computer or on this computer. And if you want to uninstall a program, you double click on it and follow the options. And usually it's quite good, Windows 7, at uninstalling all of the files associated with the program you're uninstalling. I don't really want to uninstall anything at the moment, so we'll go back. We'll leave that alone, the network drive. As I say, that's a bit too advanced. We can open the control panel from here, and that's the uninstall program again. It takes you to the same place. We'll go back and we'll go back. Control panel, and you've got all these various options. Have a look round, but be careful with what you're doing, because this is the control panel. You change settings on here, it's usually going to affect something on your computer. So we'll go back, and that is the main menus and options that we have above here. But let's have a look now at the layout of this blank area. So we're going to take the shortcut route to the desktop by double clicking under the favorites, double clicking on the desktop, and these are the icons or folders that we have on the desktop. You can't see the desktop from here, from this window, but take it from me that these are what is currently on the desktop. We can also get to the desktop under computer, we took the shortcut route. So if we fold that up and we go to the computer, local disk, users, and here we have the desktop. Double click on the desktop. These are being viewed in a different way, but they are the same files. If I go up here and view them in large icons, it's more or less the same as what you would find on the desktop. I'm going to take that view away for the moment. Some of these icons are different to what is on the current desktop because things like the recycle bin and so on, they don't need to be shown under the folder view, but they are there. Okay, so what we'll do now is have a look at the different views that you can see within this area here. If we, let's close this up so we've got a bit more room. We'll go to favorites and we'll go to the desktop. We have a folder called Tendring Computer Club on the desktop, and I'll double click to go in now. We have a folder inside Tendring Computer Club folder called Photo Project, and inside the Photo Project you can see that there are folders of different animals. Okay, I'm going to delete this folder because it got left over from a previous exercise. So I've selected it, as you can see by the blue selection bar. I can find where the delete option is. Yes, it's under the file menu, delete. It'll ask you if you're sure. Yes, I am. And it's gone. So now inside the desktop, inside the Tendring Computer Club folder, we have the Photo Project folder and the different animal folders inside the Photo Project folder. And I bet you can't guess what's in this folder. Of course, bears. Someone created a new folder. I shall delete that to get rid of it. And that's gone. So now we have photos of bears. If we want to go back to the Photo Project folder, where all the other animal folders are, we could click on there, or we could just go back. Big cats, double click to go into the big cats folder, and we've got a load of big cats. We can click on that this time to go back. Birds, quite obvious. Go back. Buffaloes, and so on. So okay, let's have a look at how we can change the layout of this folder. I'll go into the bears folder. I'll double click on that to go in there. You can adjust this space here by just taking your cursor over that line, and you can drag either way and make the space more to your liking. So we'll leave it about there. These options up here, these determine how these files are viewed. They don't change the files, they just change the way they are viewed. At the moment they are being viewed in large icons style. We could have extra large icons, which means it takes up more space, so we have to scroll down to see all of the pictures in the folder. If we click that one again, they've got a little arrow, the drop down list. We can go back to large icons, which is what we had. We could go back to medium icons, or we could go to small icons. They are exactly the same files. The files haven't changed, they just changed the way they are viewed. We could have them viewed in a list style, details style, and so on. Tiles, content. But we'll go back to large icons, which is my favourite view. This little icon here will toggle space on and off in this area. So if I click it, you can see it's made a space here. And this is a preview pane. You can adjust the space like you could at the other side. And when I click on a file, it will give me a preview of that file in this area. If you want to see it larger, just move the bar. Want to see it smaller? Same thing. So okay, you click on a file and you will get a preview of that file. It's a toggle, so if you click it, it will go away, and if you click it again, it will come back. That's self-explanatory. Get help. Okay, when we select a file, we get a preview there, but we also get some information about that file that's selected down the bottom. Bears2 is the name of the file, and the extension which comes after the dot is a JPEG. JPEG is a type of image file. As you can see, it's a JPEG image. I do believe that most, if not all, of these files in here are JPEGs. There might be the odd exception. But this one that we've got selected is Bears2. It's a JPEG file. If we had that information, we could see the date it was taken. It's a tag. A tag we'll go into later. Rating, it's not been rated. The dimensions of the file, which means this image, we're only viewing a thumbnail at the moment, but if we was to open it in an image editing program, the actual size of the image would be 678 pixels by 435 pixels high, 678 wide by 435 high. The size is 38.9 kilobytes. That's the size of the file on disk. That's if you want to add a title, you can do that. But I'm not going to bother at the moment. You could also add an author, and you could also add comments, camera maker, and so on. But the most important information that you want is obviously the name. You do need to know the type of image in a lot of instances, and the dimensions and the size of the file. That's probably the most important information to know. And as you can see, if I click on a different image, this information down here will change to reflect the information about this image that I've got selected. So this image is 678 pixels wide by 435 pixels high. You've got the name there, which is Bears33. It's a JPEG. Size on disk is 24.7 kilobytes, and that's the most important information that you want to know, really. Yeah, I think really that concludes our first look around Windows Explorer. As I say, it's quite an important program to get to know, so we will return to this Windows Explorer at a later date. But for now, I think we'll conclude this video. Hope it's been useful, and we'll see you soon.